This one's a pilot. Oh, wow.
A dumbass! I think it's been way too long since I made a proper video on this channel. Not even one. But does that mean all my videos are terrible? Most of them are just shit posts, which I think is fun. So, what did I plan for this video? I don't know, a video I guess. So, oh sorry guys, sorry. Today, ladies and gentlemen, our cats and not cats,
You ain't living right.
I am making a video about what could be the worst weapon in all of Splatoon. The Nozzlenose! Woo! Everyone loves it. Shut up, idiot! Why this weapon out of all the weapons in the game that are better in specials and stats? The weapon is interesting. It is a mix of the squeezer and a blaster, you can say. Weird combination, but you know, that is fine. I like making weird differences. I think I will not drag this intro out for too long, and let me present you the Nozzlenose. The L-3 Nozzlenose was released on June 17th, 2015 at 2 AM, 2 PM UTC? Okay then. So anyway, so how does the weapon work for people who have never played or tried it out since their teenage lives, kid lives, adult lives?
Break my monitor.
Well, let me explain it on my own way, the jicuji way. The weapon's super simple. You shoot with the shoot button, the right trigger button, on your controller or switch, and it shoots. Super simple. The issue with this one, you must repeatedly press the button since the weapon is not automatic, which can be an absolute sweat for your finger and can cramp it super hard. Owie. In fact, the weapon is worse overall with the squeezer in terms of usage. The weapon as its sub in special, the curling around the crab tank, load-wise, not exactly terrible, but is the weapon itself that makes it shit because of the functionality. But how is the weapon in its previous successors? Here, we can see how its stats have changed to its specials and subs. The first one had Disruptor and Killer Whale. The second game have him Curling Bomb, which is prominent in the third game still. And the Baller, aka Bowling Baller.
Nice car.
The weapon in the first game was at its peak of strength, with it dealing 15% more damage than it did in the sequels, but the range in the first one was 2% less. It also only consumed 1% of your ink in Splatoon 1 and 3, which means you can have 100 shots before filling up your entire tank. But the weapon consumed 1.15% of your ink, which made it worse regardless, since weapons with a higher consumption of your ink are considerably bad. In summary, the only changing stats are the damage, range, and the ink consumption. I think that's all of them. Pause!
jicuji form or whatever. What about the variations of the weapon? Surely they must be better than the original one, right?
Oh, yeah, they exist too. Well, let us go through them real quick, since this video is not of every Nozzlenose, but just the Nozzlenose. The Nozzlenose has what I like to call two siblings, or versions of the weapon.
This is so bizarre.
They are the Nozzlenose Plus D and the H3 Nozzlenose, which means heavy. Now let us compare the D1 with the L3 nozzle. Honestly, the weapon's not different whatsoever, as all other variations of weapon have the exact same stats, different loadouts. A good example are the Kenso weapons from Splatoon 2, as that game had a ton for some reason. As you can tell, it is not different to the OG at all. The burst bond, however, stayed the same ever since, only a special did from Kraken to Inkjet to the Ultra Stamp, which means I can put him in the same category as the L3 Nozzlenose without the D. Okay, maybe not. Moving on, we got the Heavy Nozzlenose, aka the H3 Nozzlenose. This one, on the other hand, contains way more damage, but on the other hand has less range, and an extremely awful fire rate. My brother, I hate this weapon, which was nerfed once in Splatoon 2, and its range getting buffed by 2% since Splatoon. The point sensor has remained in its loadout. But I kid you not, this weapon is the worst shooter. Why, you may ask? Because the weapon feels like slow like a turtle sliding on a hill, and why does it have point sensor? Do not worry, I am calm now. That is all the nozzle. What the fuck? So it turns out there are 3 more Nozzlenoses. The Cherry H3, a Kensa version of the L3, and the D version of the heavy shooter. I tried all of them in Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 1 doesn't work anymore.
And it was one of the worst experiences I ever had. Like a H3 cannot even one-shot a guy. This is absurd! Also, I'm not sure if it's just me, but the shooters feel even worse than in Splatoon 3. The reason can be because I'm just used to the third game a lot more with its smooth and fast controls. But the second game, gosh, I hate H3 and L3 in this. Worst shooters in the series. So, where was I? Oh yeah, Cherry, Kensa, the weapon. Yeah, these 3. Let's start with the H3 Nozzlenose D. The weapon has way more range and damage back then, till they got nerfed in the second gen of Splatoon. With it having in both games, point sensor in Ink suction pump, and ink armor. Now if I'm being honest, I like the idea of ink armor a lot more than tacticooler. Sure, ink can be effective too, but the player can benefit from the armor because it can tank in and cause tremendous hits on the opposing side. Now onto the Cherry from Plants vs Zombies. It is a good saver for the player in emergency situations. Oh, fuck, wrong game. Remarkably like the D version of H3, but includes Splash Wall, Bubbler, and the Blower. Okay, man. To be honest, I like the Splash Wall. It fits the weapon quite well since it was made to be more of a tanky one. I like it, but Bubble Blower? Questions inside my brain, but yeah, alright, then moving on to the next. The Kensa L3. Only appears in the second game, has Splash Wall and Ultra Stim, which I think fits decent, yes. And that's it. Nothing legendary about it. Now we are done with the reviews on these weapons. Time to put them in tier list. Easy F tier. What else is there to talk about here? Oh yeah, how is the weapon competitive in Turf War? Well, here are my thoughts, ranked as well. So how great is the weapon in Turf War? My favorite mode of dying and killing people. My friend put it in a perfect way to summarize the Nozzlenose. A hush good pint, but due to his bad fire rate, it doesn't pint that much. Perfect summarize, my friend. Excellent job. Yeah, the weapon isn't perfect in painting, but is great at killing. That is my version of his quote. So really, it is an average weapon in the battle, but it can impact the matches in a way with the crab tank, or for the D side, the Ultra Stim. But the weapon is so trash with its shitty function that you can throw it in a dumpster if you do not like it at all. I'm talking to you, H3. Let's say I put the weapon in Turf War at a 5.2 out of 10. It's not really the worst weapon, not the greatest weapon, it's just there to make people lose their lives, that is why. Now you wonder how good the weapon is in ranked, aka
NRK.
Let's take a dive into that, huh? If Nozzlenose is mediocre in Turf War, then how is it in ranked? Here's my answer. I think it's good. Surprisingly, the Nozzlenose isn't that bad in ranked
NRK.
at all. Matter of fact, the L-3 Nozzlenose is the best one for that competitive environment. H3 once again, too slow. L3 can work too if you want to be a pussy and spam curling bombs. The Ultra Stamp of the D can be particularly good in maps like Underchill Spillway, in addition with the curling bomb. Overall, I don't find it too bad for it, but the strength is dependent on what you're playing as well. At Splat Zone's very weak. Clamplets, yeah sure, it can work. Yeah, I don't know what to say, so let's get to the final part of this video. The Nozzlenose is a unique weapon, with it having some of the worst, and maybe some shooters better than the Squeezer. It has a niche place in the combats of Splatoon. If you think the Nozzlenose is bad, that's fine. I can agree on that too. I can agree with your opinion if the weapon is good in your eyes. I will give the Nozzlenose a rating of 6 out of 10.